The voice of sharing Durian ASEAN.
Hi, this is Arlene, and we are going to continue again our heated discussion last few days ago with our four friends here: Archana from Global Peace Festival Malaysia, Megat, Hanis from University Islamic International Islamic University of Malaysia, and Noraaina all the way from Sarawak, a freelance graphic designer, as well as Tan Kim, our own assistant producer from Durian ASEAN. Welcome everybody.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
So earlier on, a few days ago, we had a discussion about things on unemployment, cost of living, and partially on Islamic State. And due to the short time limit that we have to cut short it, and we have to continue it now. I'm sure you have more things to say, right, you guys?
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So
let's say more things.
yeah, picking up from the issues on Islamic State and Islam and religion all jumbling together. First of all, to continue back about the role of state, what do you think a state should be? What is the ideal form of state should be towards its citizen? We can start with Archana, maybe.
So, what was the question again?
So the question is about the state. Since we have the last time we had a conversation when it comes to state that is based on religion, like Islamic State, it is strongly opposed by by majority of us here, and some of us think that we are not ready yet to that particular role of state. But then, what is the ideal role of state towards its own population?
I think a state should be community serving rather than being a religious state. We shouldn't look at state being ruled from a religious aspect, because religion is religion and everyone has different religion and we have to respect that. So when it comes to state, it should serve the community equally. So that would be my idea of an ideal state, where the government should play a part in serving the community equally.
So are you saying that it's a larger version of a community service?
I wouldn't say community service. I would say just doing their job in a more objective manner, rather than using using religion into politics.
I see.
Yeah.
Anyone else have something to add?
For me, the role of a state should be to maintain peace and law and order, but the state itself should not make any decision without concerning or
without public
yeah,
consultation with the rest of the population.
So the fact that the people give their power to the state is not the fact that they can do everything that they want, because everything that involve whether domestic policy or international or foreign policy, it needed to be told to the people, and the people need to be empowered in their political education.
Yeah, we are a democratic country, right?
I see. What about the two of our ladies here? Maybe the Sarawakian first.
Okay. I'm thinking about it, and I was thinking that our country, the state, the government, it consists of two bodies. One is the ruler, and the other one is the one that has been ruled. And we are talking about something that we can do better for our country, right? So I was thinking that we should let democracy kick in. Like just now you said we are democracy, right? And the thing is, we are not democratic
enough.
Yes, exactly.
In which aspect that you think we are not democratic enough?
We are not democratic enough.
Like in almost all the aspect, is it? Everything is top down when it comes to like decision making. Is that what you are saying?
Yes. So I'm telling that if we want to pursue this road, then we should do it correctly. Like we do it for real, not
namesake.
Halfway.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to Sabah Sarawak, you have a very interesting history where you joined the Peninsula Malaysia, in 1965. Am I not mistaken? Where on the 16th of September to be part of the Federation of Malaysia. So how Malaysian you feel right now? You know, do you think the state are taking care the situation in Sabah and Sarawak, as in the people there?
This is a question that been asked by a lecturer once, anthropology lecturer to me, which is who am I? And I was saying, I told him that I am a Sarawakian. It's not that I don't feel like I'm a part of Malaysia. It's just the idea of whenever you heard like, okay, Malaysia termasuk Sabah and Sarawak, Malaysia termasuk Sabah and Sarawak, it would be like, why do they have to say that? When you say Malaysia, of course it includes, right? But then you have to really put it out, like Malaysia, includes Sabah and Sarawak. It's like, so we are not...
these are very, very subtle, but it's something that nobody actually talk about it, right? This kind of like very subtle way of trying to segregate Sabah and Sarawak from the rest of Malaysia.
It could be, who knows? But what I know is that we're here. We know that we are Malaysia, but we feel like we're more Sarawak than Malaysia.
So, talking about our friend here, Kim Tan, do you feel more Chinese than Malaysian as well?
Absolutely no, because I'm a Malaysian, and it's funny how people can think that they are more Chinese than they are Malaysian. Like my parents were born here, my grandparents were born here. Like even though my great grandparents were not born here, but it's been so long. Like how can you be born here and been raised up here and you still think that you are a Chinese instead of Malaysian? It's funny how people can have that kind of mindset. Seriously.
So what is the role of the state actually that you think in an ideal form would be?
I think it's like what Megat and Archana said lah. Like
exactly.
Like ensuring everything goes well like in the country. It's like maintaining the peace and also like make sure that the education system is good. Because it's like like I think those people who get this kind of I'm a Chinese instead of a Malaysian mindset through educations.
I see.
Yeah.
I see. We will go ahead with our discussion on education a bit later on, but right now we want to dwell a bit deeper on politics and especially on youth participation in politics. So moving forward from the ideal state itself, I want to know what is the current state of youth participation in politics. Especially we have University Act law where what's the law called?
USCA.
Yeah, where youth are being limited, or at least from being participating in politics.
Currently, they have amended the constitution in which they allow the student to participate in politics, but not inside university. Yeah, you can do politics inside university, but you can participate outside of the campus. So that's the new law. And I think this is a good idea. It's a good idea to do to limit to such an extent, because the way that I see particularly in my university, if you allow students to choose or participate in politics in terms of political party participation, it will be a problem because they will be segregated and they will be divided because there's a lot of clash between them inside the universities. They are not united in addressing concerns because they choose to be on which sides. For me, it's not really constructive in a way. If you want students to be strong, to be united, they need to have one voice, to show that they are really distinct from the opposition, to be used by either opposition or by the government. So I think it is a good way to limit to such an extent.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Don't you think that that's not good because it's like saying that students who are university students who are adults need to be they've been restricted to do so, to think a certain way until they will graduate.
Do you agree with that?
That would be the lesson for you to, okay, now you can join politics. That's a bit too late. Don't you think so?
I see. I'm just wondering, are you are you like actively joining any political parties or political movement, or at least some form of like political engagement with society?
I don't like politics actually. I don't see the good side of it. It's like this party and that party clashes, and then it's like the big. It's like what? Like kalau dalam if in Malay, it will be like gajah berlawan, and then there will be rusa mati tengah, and it will be
it's like two elephants fighting with each other, and the middle would be the deer dying.
Yes, and those are the ones who
being stepped down.
Yes, so I'm guessing that politics. We know the parties, right? But then again, it's not about the parties actually that important. It's about what they're trying to do for the people, and that is who. We're talking about who right now, not what.
Yeah.
When we then it's bad.
So are you saying that what is hindering youth from participating in politics is because our politics is too partisan in the way it is being, carry on? Is that the case?
I don't think that's the case.
Yeah.
It's just that for you to say that people who study, and they are usually beginning of youth, right? That they cannot be in this thing because it will make them lose their one voice. But then in reality, outside public life, that is what's happening. So you're trying to conceal that idea. You're trying to put an idea to students' mind. When they go out, it's like they will be so clueless. Or then perhaps they're waiting for themselves to go out from university for that.
Yeah. Kim, do you what is your experience, as a student prior to this? Were you interested in politics?
I would say I'm not interested, but I'm aware of what is happening. Is that I personally think that our state of politics is chaos. It's like people around me, like youth around me, they will be saying that, oh, you see this party, like, okay, they are so supportive of certain party, and then oh, you see what is this political leader is doing and such. I would say it's another form of peer pressure, and then they will be like saying yes, they will be saying like because everybody is like supporting opposition. At some point, everybody is supporting opposition until it has become a trend. It's like a popular support, blind support. Did you know what have this MP have done for you? You doesn't know. Exactly. You voted for this MP just because of his political party, and this political party, you doesn't look at other people inside this certain political party. You look at one person, one leader, which is crazy.
Just one interesting question that you raised. I want to ask all of you, do you know who is your member of parliament in the area that you're staying?
Yep.
I know how he looks like.
So only Megat, you know who is your member of parliament.
Khairuddin Jaafar is MP for Paya Yaras.
I see.
Yeah.
My mom knows. I don't know.
What about our Sarawak friend here?
Be good about this answer this question as well.
Do you know who is your member of parliament?
I'm guessing the richest one.
Okay, we don't have to mention that one.
Yeah, it's like people don't care actually. Like even if I know, what can I do? Because I am like one single person, and there will be like thousands of people saying that okay, they will support a certain party, and even though at the end the opposition didn't win lah, it's another case of
Yeah. So Archana, why do you think it's important that youth participate in politics?
I think participation should come constructively and not because of blind support, like Kim mentioned. And I'd like to just emphasize on one point Megat made. I think in some sense it's good we don't bring politics into university, in some sense, because when you bring politics into universities, people tend to see the differences in perspective, and then they tend to segregate. That's where segregation comes in, and it may be heated up because you're in the age where you get easily provoked.
yeah.
Everything must be sensitive,
Yeah.
So it'll be good, but then again, you keep it out of the university setting. The settings matter because it has to be constructive, right? So we can have probably youth being involved in politics outside of university settings. And this should be moderated in a more constructive and more objective manner. So politics
Who would be the one moderating this?
That would be a question.
maybe Megat. Sorry, Aina, you have something to say?
No, I mean, yeah, exactly. When you think about that, you talk about which university, the government or the public, the private. And then usually government will always be on the side of government.
I see.
Who are we going to use to moderate this thing?
So there's no.
Somebody who's non-partisan.
So I think
So hard to find that kind of person in this context, you know.
I think there's also boils down a question that there's no neutral ground that allows us to be part of politics without having to choose which partisan would.
No, I would disagree with that because there's a lot of neutral ground in which you can participate in politics. That's why my vision is that you can students from both sides of the party should come in together and think something that can contribute to the society without depending on the political party.
Can you give more suggestion on where are these neutral grounds that this youth can,
for example,
our youth can
I would like to know
participate?
For example, I know one of my friend who organized this NGO called Nasi Lemak Project. You know what they do? They start with the Nasi Lemak Project stuff. They giving to the old people. They start and then they expanding their influence, and then they're covering across various, or I think 11 places in which they give free tuition. And then there's one family in which they don't have enough money to feed their family. You know what they do? They make nasi lemak. They make the family to do the nasi lemak stuff, and then they sell it in the university for the family. It is a contribution. It is a participation in politics.
So are you saying that participation in politics is not necessarily being part of changing the political structure or voicing out your opinions to the to government and authorities?
Yeah,
It's also about going down to the communities and on the ground?
Yes.
Yeah.
I actually think there's also a lot of NGOs which is helping to build a better political state in Malaysia, like Lawyer Bureau. They were doing something like my MP thing, like I think like researching about the MP, like and then educating people. But it's sad that it's not being publicized quite widely in Malaysia lah.
I want to ask a very critical question. Do you think youth should be part of the political system itself, e.g., forming a youth parliament and formulating youth policy that will be tabled in the parliament and getting it to be debated? Do you think it is something that maybe Malaysian youth can look forward towards it?
I think it is something to be envisioned. It is a vision to be achieved. But there's two questions here. First, is it the student really prepared for this? Because the way I can see it, I'm not downgrading the potential of the student. I'm just saying that there's a lot of things that we waste our energy on things like I'm not really rejecting demonstration. I mean, like, there's a lot of things that we do not do, like serious discussion on some issue in depth. We just respond towards the issue in a more light ways. I mean,
Surface-like.
in a surface like. So you don't have that in-depth analysis and knowledge in that. The second question is, do government really provide you that kind of stuff? I can give you an example. In USM, they have made a good parliament, student parliament, but still it is controlled by the Chancellor. So it's not. It is a hypocrisy.
It's very much top down. I was just wondering why our youth are not discussing issues in depthly. Why this is happening?
Because we were used to spoon fed. Because they were used to spoon like. I agree with Megat. Like we were not actually able to talk things in depth. But I think maybe if I agree with the creating the youth parliament things actually. Like if you really have a youth parliament, you give them a chance. Like, because if you don't create these kind of things, they'll be so comfortable.
And
they'll be saying we are not
to
prepared.
Bridge the generation gap.
Yeah. Seriously, because we were never prepared. We were never prepared until you really force us to.
Yeah. Aina, you have something to say just now? I hear some voices from you.
Wait, I'm a bit lost because I keep listening to what you guys saying, and I don't remember what I want to say anymore.
Or maybe
Okay,
you can just share something about what are how political Sarawakian youth are there.
I'm not into the scene, so I couldn't really
I think
say.
maybe we could talk about the USM one because
Yeah.
like me and Aina was actually from USM,
Mm.
and then I see a sad thing where like based on whatever our political state is, so youth tend to follow what is exactly happening.
They are not thinkers, they are followers. Is that what you say?
They are people like what like the leader, the political leader out here in USM, and the way they are trying to gain votes is crazy. They put
Yeah,
they put those vote for whatever. What is it, Aina? You remember? Like vote for Geta or
what the Mentega one?
ingat Gata or vote for Gata or something like that lah. They put it
Sounds so weird.
yeah. Like they put it in the toilet.
Yeah.
Of all the places, right?
And they spread all the flyers. This is what our political peoples are doing. Exactly, like spreading all the flyers on the floor and then all the flags on everywhere, every single where. And after finish the elections, nothing they will do. They will do nothing.
Perhaps it's not good that youth entering political arena because it seems like we're just repeating what has been done.
Yeah.
I think
Not really that great.
they could be involved, but in a more systematic way. We need a leader. I think that is what we are lacking. A leader, a potential leader.
Maybe Megat and also Archana can share your experience in university politics.
I would say, I mean, if I were to compare myself with my friends, the set of friends that I have, like Kim said, people tend to follow. I
Yeah.
mean, despite the ability to think, they tend to follow, and most of the times, sad to see, they follow blindly without having their constructive ideas, without reflecting on the points that are being put forth to them. So, it would be good to have youth in politics, but systematically and with a true leader. I mean, what is a leader? A leader should be doing what a leader should do. You know? So, with the right leader and with the right system, and the system should have the right people, because without the right people, you're not going to work. The system is not going to work. So, with that, obviously, youth in politics can do a lot, because young people, when our voice are heard, we can do so many things, and not just do. We can actually bridge the gap between the older generation and us Gen Y, because
Could it be that because we are living in a life that could be considered as comfortable? We don't have anything that it seems like worth to fight for. So why do we have to think about it if there's nothing that we think that?
I want to highlight on the importance of formulating youth policy. I mean, a lot of the issues that we address, especially on education, on economic and unemployment, is mainly being addressed via policy, but it's being drafted by policymakers who have probably very little idea on what is the plight of the youth today. Having a youth parliament or youth voices in that sense, and formulating policies that concerning youth would put a step ahead in terms of what do we really want, and getting the people in power to actually listen to us. Megat, do you think this is something that maybe Malaysian youth should look forward?
Yeah, that is something that they should do, because that is what lacking here. Because if you see in the MPP across Malaysia, you see that the highest thing that they do inside the MPP is whether they organize a demonstration addressing issues in a responsive way, or either they just fighting for the welfare of the student, fighting for the aircon.
Responsive as in like reactive. Yeah.
Or in the university, the highest that they can do is fighting for the broken chairs,
like the
aircon,
longkang
and parking
offense, but more
stuff.
can be done.
There's no such thing as deep discourse, or they had organized such a weekly just a weekly workshop, for example GST, discussing it in depth to respond to
getting
government.
youth to participate in things that what the government is currently trying to cope, rather than just listen and say, oh, okay.
Yeah, because when the government wants to we want to introduce it, GST is going to make the price high. So what do we do? What do you do?
And sad to see most of our friends who are a bit more well off, and they have I'm not saying I'm like very poor, but a bit more well off financially.
Since you're working, right? With a salary.
Yeah.
Megat is probably poor.
Financially in debt.
Okay, what I'm trying to say is, they tend to run off to sort of like fled to other countries, I would say. So, I think the sense of responsibility, the sense of Malaysianness is lacking there, because they feel like, oh, okay, you know, this country is not working for me. You know, this is just not right. I don't like how things are done here, and they just go off because they have a choice to do so. But then there are some of us who stay on and, you know, try to do things right, try to make things, try to solve things. And yeah, so that's what the majority of our population, the Gen Y, I think we should stop going away, but to stay and try to do something, at least for the future, you know, although things may seem a bit messy now.
Yeah. So, enough about politics. Let's move forward to something that you guys have been waiting for, which is about education. So, I want to start with your view on our education system. What do you think is the current state of our education system right now?
Anyone?
Like, just describe in one word if you can't answer it in a longer sentence.
A lack of efficiency, that's 3 words, right?
I think for me, you know, the underlying philosophy of education now is like we agreeing each other. It is capitalistic.
Do you mean the
system.
model of our
The model
education
is
system?
capitalist, Yeah. So the knowledge of the education is meant as commodity. So only the people that that have money that can have access to it. And that is first of all. Second of all is that what our education system are producing are the not robot in a sense, but they are producing the labor. They are not producing what I say is productive for productive citizen or.
So you guys are hardcore labor
Yeah.
for the country's
For the
economy. Kim and Aina, being school in the Malaysian system for years and years, do you think you benefited from our education system?
Benefited.
Okay, maybe Kim first.
Benefited in a negative way, seeing how horrible it is. Like, let us think, like, okay, we shouldn't be affected by how the education system is, like, because it's really too spoon feeding. I studied in a Chinese school, like primary school,
Vernacular school.
vernacular school. But when I went to secondary school, I was in Sekolah Kebangsaan. So I would say it's still the same. Even though it's a vernacular school or whether or not
So
it's
do
a
you-
Sekolah Kebangsaan, it's still spoon feeding.
So do you think that vernacular school and national school, do you think it makes any difference in terms of the quality or in terms of the goal, in terms of how it produces graduates and all that?
I would say in vernacular school, it is more strict.
I see. In a better
Yes.
way or?
In a very kiasu way. Yeah. Because I studied in it's so called like a sekolah ternama like that. Like there's a ranking lah, you know, they like to put ranking on school. I don't understand why, which they have ranking. So you also have like, okay, you are the tempat ke how many in the whole school, and we have like one darjah, one form, you have like 700 students, and then you are maybe, okay, you are 70, but imagine you are like 699 and there's 700.
like you go back to your house and then your mom says, so which
Okay.
ranking are you?
Ah.
Or you don't go back home. I'm
at-
number 700.
Look at
Are
your
you happy
report.
now?
Look at your report. I mean, if you want to, it's already sad having this kind of ranking in the same class, but I still can accept it lah. Okay lah, you only lost to like 49 people if one class have 50 people, but now it's is like 700 people, and now you are 699. Your ranking is
Yeah.
like it affect the children's mentality lah. They will be like, okay, I cannot be 699. I want to be maybe like the 600. The cannot be 600. Maybe the 50 or something. Like it's promoting kiasunas is everybody, you know.
I was just wondering, do you think competition within schools is a good thing, or you would prefer a more collaborative, like sort of horizontal way of learning, as in like everybody should, just focus on learning the whatever subject they are learning rather than being competed, as in like you should be ranked here if you are very good, or not, you'll be at the bottom of the.
Yes. I think it should be the horizontal way. It shouldn't be like comparing, because it's really tiring for the kids,
Yeah, because the problem is the underlying, like I said before, the underlying philosophy of education system is to producing labor.
Yeah.
So the labor, you are depending on the market. So when you want kids to learn stuff just because they love it, you cannot. It's not
efficient, right?
It's not efficient. It's not there because the market is so competitive. So the students, when they produce kids, which are competent. So I think we cannot escape that. I mean, I don't agree with such problematic system, but that's how is being implemented. But to put student to learn stuff together without any competition, it would lead to things that I worry about, because it will lead, for example, you want the government to take care of the schools. You want the government to give the equality for all, so the government take control of the education system. It will be indoctrination, a formal indoctrination from the state. So competition spare you from this. For example, if you go into private education, you need to pay small fees or pay a higher fees than the public education, but you will get higher quality of education. You'll be spared from this problematic system of public education. If you want, for example, an idealistic free education for all, equality for all, you will put the education system under public funded school, in which doesn't have any quality at all. So it will be a devastating impact to the society. So it is a dilemma for us.
I see.
But I think they
dilemma.
could ensure the quality, but it doesn't really have to disclose it to all the students, like telling, okay, you are the 699 one. But you can just
I think that is
keep
some
it.
kind of motivation.
Yeah, maybe Aina wants to add something. Aina?
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
Well,
I have a question for you as well, Aina. I mean, coming from Sarawak, right? I'm sure the education condition there is different because of the way, I mean, the geographical sort of setting of Sarawak, which is like it takes you a longer time to go to your school, or you have more boarding school, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Actually, it depends on the place. If you, my dad is a principal.
Oh, okay. So you cannot criticize.
It's just that I'm guessing that I'm trying to see it from the view of the educator instead of the one who receives all the education. It's all the ranking for schools. It's not exactly for the students.
It's for the school.
It's for the school. It's for the principal. It's for the teachers. Because they need to get their salary up, right? They need to work hard to make to show that their effort actually paid off, which is by looking at students' achievement.
So their kiasunas is actually not for you; it's for them.
Yes, and part of it is, in a way, maybe they're trying to maybe the ranking system. I'm not really into the idea of it, but. They just have to go along with it, since that is what has been provided for our education system. They're somewhat the level itself, those teachers, lecturers, because they have to do what has been told to them. So now we should focus on the mastermind, actually.
So, I mean, education is a very contentious issue because it's very complicated and there's a lot of things at stake. But just to simplify things, what is your ideal education system would be, as in like in terms of equality or quality and all things together jumbled in?
Going back to my previous point on education, I think the delivery and attitude, I would like to add attitude into this, because if it takes anyone in any job to have the right attitude and the right delivery method to just do what they do efficiently. So that is very important. I think the method of delivery of education in Malaysia is sad to say quite horrible, in the sense that we are just absorbing puppets. So we just absorb what the teacher teaches, and most times, almost all the time, you're not allowed to question. I can share with you an experience whereby I was it Form 4 or Form 5? One of my classmates actually questioned the admins teacher because she did something wrong on the board, and she was so offended that the boy just questioned him. He just questioned him, Cikgu, yang tu bukan blah 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 blah, and she got so offended she threw the chalk. Was it chalk or a marker? I can't remember. I think it was a chalk. She just threw it at him and walked out of the class. Just walked out of the class, and we were just blown away. And she didn't enter the class after that. What kind of attitude is that? I mean, when you do things like this, especially so aggressively, the boy is not going to question you anymore, you know. So you're just hindering creativity, hindering growth. This way, no one is going to reach their potential. I mean, maximizing potential, that's something we should work on. Everyone has their own strengths.
So you suggest that teachers shouldn't take the terrible attitude or the questioning attitude of students personally?
Yeah, they should be more objective about things. It's just a question. Why don't you address the question? And, you know, be more open to discussions. Discussion can lead... we're having a discussion right now. Discussions can lead to very positive outcomes. Because through discussions, whether it's heated up or I'm angry with you, you're angry with me, but that's just an emotion. How we work around that, that's very important. Because when you work around it positively, then you have an outcome which is positive, that you can work and, you know, go a further distance.
Maybe Megat wants to add in on...
Just put it...
Since you are part of the Teach for the Needs, right? I'm sure you have an education system that you imagine in your mind.
Yeah, for me, when we talk about education system, when we say it has a problem, it's actually not only Malaysia that has the education problem. Everyone in the world have the same education problem. That's why you will find a lot of scholars, contemporary scholars like Second Robinson in England and UK. You will find Sugata Mitra in India, Charles Bitter in US. There are some of the scholars that are promoting from centralized education towards personalized education. This is what I dream of. When you say about personalized education, is where you educate them based on their needs, not based on what they want to be. For example, you got people living in the padang apa? Padi.
Oh, paddy field?
Paddy field. Okay, you got people living in a paddy field. And when you want to educate them, you don't teach them to go and leave the village and go to the urban city. No. The education that they need is that they need the knowledge of agriculture, so that they can grow food and become a businessman.
So it should be a very need-based education system,
Yeah.
not based on one size fit all.
One size fit all, yes.
Talking about the area of education again, but this time it's definitely need-based, I believe, but nobody is talking about it. It's about sex education. So maybe I can start with just throwing a question about, do you think we should have sex education? And another question is, do you think Malaysian youth are ready for sex education in school?
I think kids are ready. I mean, why youth? Start with kids, you know? Something is a bit of a shock when you do it halfway through your life, right? When you do it from small, it's something that's normal, and it's like every other education, you know? Sports education, biology, it's the same. It's just another education. So then you open their eyes to see things a bit more better than us, actually. Right.
Because it's like if you don't teach them, they will be like even more curious. And then the way how internet was so like advanced right now, that if they get to know it by themselves, it's going to be worse. nobody will guide them. Google is not really going to teach them step by step. Google will be like, okay, randomly here's one porn, another one porn, like that. That's how they get to know about sex.
Yeah.
Rather than that, then we should educate them since young instead of letting
They
them
will be more responsible, right?
Yeah, exactly. And we should tell them what is the complication will come if you do it before you come to age. Because a lot of people just tell you, oh, you don't do it. Like from a religious point of view, which I find it quite funny that they will say that, okay, if you do it before marriage, you will go to hell, which is not the correct way on how you should educate your children.
So I know.
That's the same case with law, actually.
Sorry.
When law also prohibited those kind of sexual intercourse in early age. So if you do it, then you're going to jail. So it's almost the same thing in religion.
That's hell as well.
So where do you get your your sex education, Aina?
Let the cat out of the bag.
I have to say that I look for it myself.
Where is it?
And I'm kind of share it to my colleague, my friends. So that they can
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Megat, being the only male here, I guess you have to be more open to us. What do you think is the a good sex education in school, like an acceptable one?
I don't know how. I don't know.
You don't know anything.
Yeah. I don't know.
You are not having
I don't know how to
sex
explain, how to define a good sex education, right? But I think it's necessary to have a sex education because despite the thing that has happened, you got a 6-year-old kid raping 3-year-old kid. You know, it's crazy.
What is that?
Yeah, like what? It wouldn't go through my mind when I was 6. I would be chasing around my sister.
Like we wouldn't even thought of that. Like what is
Because
that?
of the exposure they're getting, so it's like high time sex education is
It's a
there.
peer
You know?
pressure.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Oh my god.
How could a 3 years old having 3 years old peer pressure and then okay, I should go and see something.
But what about the issue on baby dumping? I think this is a very talk about issue within the Malaysian youth, especially among politicians and all that. It's like especially among the Malay communities, I would say. Part of the problem would be of the issue where they don't receive that much information about what is sex and what is what is a good relationship, a more mature relationship would be. Do you think religious leaders and communities should also be part of this sex education, or is it just the responsibility of schools?
I think the religious people should take part, but then in a good way, in a way that you doesn't really educate, like how I said just now. Like you don't tell them you will go to hell because you do certain things. You tell them what is the complications will follow after you have done this thing. Not just telling them
with facts, right?
Yeah, with facts. Like okay, what will happen to you? And tell them that you are actually not mature enough. If you are like 16 to actually have a kid, to actually have a sexual relationship with another person, because you wasn't mature enough to think like, and then it's a long way to go.
But I think compared to religious leaders, school can do a good job in the sense that even preschool could, they could probably show a doll and
A doll.
to show the kids.
I'm guessing that this part would be what parenting role or what parents should be.
I think the core of sex education, it should start in the family first.
And
Do
maybe
you guys
it shouldn't
agree?
be called as sex education. It's just some kind of knowledge that we transport. Like kids need to know that their body will change. And when they do, people need to acknowledge it. Those kind of things. It's not exactly as saying that, okay, today we are learning sex education.
Yeah.
It's like,
But compared to learning it at home, and when you learn it in school, you're learning it in a bigger group, So when you learn it in a bigger group with your friends by your side and everything, you know that he's learning the same thing and she's learning the same thing. So we are not supposed to do this and we are supposed to do this. So it's
It's a positive peer pressure, right?
Yeah, positive peer pressure, and maybe they can have a positive discussion about it. I mean, we may be laughing about this, but maybe if we were to have sex education in schools in like just say 1 year, that's imaginary. But in 1 year, for example, maybe 20 years down the road, kids won't be laughing about sex education like we
Yes.
are, you know.
Yeah.
So sex education, I feel, in school could play a huge role in
Yeah.
solving a lot of
Yeah.
problems, and even incest. You know.
Yeah.
I think everything that involves human nature, desires, all need to be educated, not to be repressed in society. You know, one of my friend working in advertising agency, she discovered that Malay is one of the most repressed
Sexually
race.
repressed.
Yeah, sexually repressed.
I
You
see.
type Melayu, you get Melayu bogel and everything.
Misal, those kind of like very sexualized or erotic love novels are popular among the Malays,
You
yeah?
repress their desire, and you're talking in your ceramah, and you read its love book, erotic book.
Yes.
Do you feel repressed, Aina? Sorry. Anyway, I have to move on to the next one, which is about LGBT. It's another very interesting question. So, I want to know what is your view on LGBT when it comes to having equal rights as the rest of Malaysians? Do you think they should be equal, or do you think that they are against religion? Just share your view.
LGBT is not against religion. First of all, religion are against LGBT.
I agree with you, Aina.
Okay, explain more. Why do you think religion are against LGBT or religious people? I guess
It's somewhat an ancient thing that you read from book to books to books. There are some religions that even say no to sexual intercourse at all. So it's not just about guy wants to be a guy or girl wants to be a girl. There are sometimes girl and guy shouldn't be together as well. But then again, when you're talking about LGBT and their rights, obviously LGBT is not the same in a way with normal people thinking. They're somewhat different in a way. Could be for their thinking from LGBT view. They would say that this is their nature, right? And they cannot force themselves to be someone that is not them. But for straight people views, they are against nature.
But then again, what is straight?
You know what is straight, man.
yeah.
Heterosexual.
In a way,
yeah.
same right will not work. It has to have different rights. So
I want to throw this question to Megat because he comes from Universiti Islam Antarabangsa Malaysia. It's Islamic University of Malaysia. So, what is the situation in UIA when it comes to the response on LGBT?
You know, there's the response is not harsh on them, but there exists a secret organization. You know?
Secret?
Yeah.
Is it part of the CIA or
Yeah,
what?
the secret organization of the LGBT inside UIA itself. And I in fact I know some of them. Some of them are my best friend. I don't know. The way that they do things, they are, they don't disturb anyone. They just have the right as a human being. We must treat them well. It's just that as long as they do not do the intercourse publicly, it's okay.
Yeah.
So for me, it's yeah.
I think even for normal couple, if they do the intercourse publicly, I will report to the police.
Yeah.
You know, like,
It's
what
obvious. It's
are
obvious.
you?
important. Oh my God.
I think the LGBT community has the rights as equal as everyone else. I mean, just because their sexual orientation is different doesn't mean they have a special rights and things like that. I mean, that's just my opinion, but I think it's very very appropriate in the sense that yeah, they have different sexual orientation, but then again, that's just a part of their identity. Everyone have different identity. For example, me, I'm a Hindu. I'm a girl. I'm made
So
up.
our identity is very diverse,
Yeah.
right?
Exactly. Everyone is masked with a million identities making up one person. So
And do you know why minorities like LGBT keep expanding? Because majority like us, like religious people, are isolating them. The more you isolate these minority people, the more they're expanding because
just
they
treat
consider
them
themselves
equally.
because they consider themselves as a victim.
I see.
So they will gather all all their like-minded people are, you LGBT, come join us.
Yeah,
okay.
exactly. And how do the straight people, like heterosexual people, thinking that homosexual it's abnormal? How do you define normal actually? How do you define
Even the word
nature?
straight, I find it a bit
Offensive?
yeah, it is. I mean, what do you mean by straight? That's what I asked earlier. What do you mean by straight? What is straight? You know,
Okay.
because when you say straight, you assume that's the right thing. And when I'm not straight, what am I? I'm slanted, you know, narrow.
So
Curly.
going back to the idea of identity, right? We are moving towards the national identity of Bangsa Malaysia. Okay, this is a very tired question because I think we hear it all the time. Like, what is Bangsa Malaysia? Do you consider yourself Malaysian first, or your race or religion first? But I want to ask you, why do you think after all these years, right, we still have young people, you know, in cafeteria, in mama, or in any place where they would rather sit among their own race rather than sitting, you know, like multiculturally with different races. Like, they still identify their identity, you know, as with their race first in that sense. Why do you think this phenomena is still happening?
I don't really think that it's like they are identifying that they are certain race so that they sit together. I actually think that there's a lot of reason why certain group of people sit together. Like, I think that we were all open-minded as today. That is why we sit together and
Find
talk
common
about
ground,
issues.
yeah.
It's like they have different social background, different education background, different languages, and most probably they are sitting together because they share the common language.
Yeah.
I think it's just that people try to focus on the race perspective because it is easier to be spot at. Same skin color, okay, all the Chinese were sitting together. Same color, okay, all the Indians were sitting. It's easier to look at it that way because skin color is more obvious than whatever things like social background or languages. So I think people shouldn't enlarge this issue.
I think I would have to disagree with you a bit on that because I think in my opinion this starts from very young age where you are reinforced for the wrong things. So for example, if you were to go to school and you were to sit with a group of Chinese students, for example, I mean Chinese sitting with Chinese, and then for example, I'm not condemning anyone or anything, and maybe the Chinese teacher walks up to that group of students and she actually speaks in Chinese, so that sort of like indirectly reinforces that kind of behavior in public, the Chinese sitting together. I mean, this happens us without realizing, you know. Yeah. So small things like that. It starts from small. Maybe your parents were to say the wrong things. You know, when you're a kid, that's when you learn most. So these things just pick up, just get reinforced along the way, and that's how you sometimes behave. But having said that, there are those who are coming out of that because they have other grounds, stronger grounds, like being open-minded, for example, to reach out to, you know, people beyond just color, race, and religion whatsoever.
Yeah. Before I move on to Aina, because I really want to dwell more into the Sabah and Sarawak, Sarawak and Sabah sort of model of racial context and also how they perceive national identity. I want to hear Megat's view first as a Malay male Muslim. How do you identify yourself being part of Malaysia? Do you see that being a Bangsa Malaysia means that you need to still uphold that Malay rights?
For me, living as a 21st century student or 21st century citizen, I think I already I'm already living all of the tradition that used to be upheld by my culture or my race. The idea of king, all the traditional sort of tradition or culture, it need to be left out for the sake of a better, more constructive way of, like I said, fusion of cultures. We are moving towards a new fusion of cultures in which we share our cultures together. We interacting each other, and I think there's no problem with that. It's nothing as to uphold Malay as this is Tanah Melayu or all sort of stuff. I think before this is Tanah Melayu itself, I think there's other races, there's other civilization ancient than Tanah Melayu itself. It's just that they're extinct. So now we should consider that kind of tradition, that kind of history. It is still significant, but for the sake of a better nation, in order to move forward, you need to sacrifice this kind of things that divide you.
The special Malay
Yeah,
Bumi,
special.
and Bumi Putra
Yup,
rights,
yup.
is that?
You need to do that.
Yeah.
Ah.
So I want to move forward to Aina, because you're from Sarawak, and from what we know, Sarawak and Sabah and Sarawak has better race relation, and probably when it comes to national identity, you feel much more Sarawakian than Malaysian. I want to know, why is that so?
Perhaps because there's no race onto the name.
Mm.
It's a Sarawakian. It's like it's a place where we stay together. I can say that it's not that people doesn't make fun of each other here. We do.
Okay. So you still have some racial like jokes and all that, right?
Yes, but I'm guessing that we take it more casual than sensitive.
Are you saying that Peninsular Malaysians are more sensitive?
You are.
We are hurt easily.
You are sensitive about it.
Because of
For us,
politics,
it
I
feels
would
like
say.
something normal. And I've been to Islamic school when I was in primary school, and then I transferred to somewhere that made me mix with all the other religions, and yes, maybe perhaps because I was born in a way knowing people who are Muslim, somehow I still stick to them, but that doesn't really make it difficult for me to find interest in knowing other races and other religions. And that is what I feel like it's easier to be done here in Sarawak and Sabah. But when I start going somewhere like at the Semenanjung, it is a bit odd.
Oh, okay.
It's like you always classify as a Malay, Indian, Chinese, but we don't do that here because there's more. Because if we have to label people that way, we have to say Malay, Iban, Chinese, Melanau, Kelabit, Kenyah. The list goes on.
I see. So we need to have more categories in order for us to have
No,
less.
I think we
less...
should stop labeling.
Yeah.
Abolish the category.
Yeah, that's true. But I was just wondering, is language also a critical sort of how to say pillars in a way that maybe because all Sarawakians speak Sarawakian Malay language, so it is easier for you to integrate with each other compared to Peninsular Malaysia, where it's much more diverse in terms of the languages and the cultures. What do you think? Do you agree with that or not?
Depend on district. Some people, if you came here to Kuching, Sarawak, people are more diverse. Most people understand Malay, Sarawak Malay. So if Chinese, Indian, they can speak that language, even the Ibans. And it's not something, perhaps, yes, I agree because of the language. But there are certain places where people, like in Cebu, Chinese doesn't really know how to speak Malay, Sarawak. There are certain kind of district that has more of a certain race. Like Cebu has more Chinese, and if you go to Kapit, there will be more Orang Ulu. So in that place, you will feel slightly lost. But then I'm guessing that that's the beauty of this place, where we have those, you can say it as ancient Pribumi identity, but it's not exactly a point for to start some kind of racial conflict.
This is the last question of today when it comes to all our key topics here. Do you think having the Bahasa Malaysia as our national language would somehow push forward in terms of our national unity or national integration? Or do you think otherwise? Just share your thought, all of you. Maybe start with Megat first.
I think the leaders of this country need to do that first. They need to instill the culture first, because you will see this hypocrisy everywhere. When you want to stress upon the Bahasa Malaysia as the language of the country, you will see a lot of our elites talking in English. And they exchange letters in English, and they participate. They send their kids to they send off to overseas, and they all the elites prefer to talking to speak in English. So your leaders do a policy to your citizen, but you're not practicing itself. So you need to start with the leaders first, and then you need to make sure that the language that you want to use is up to that prestige, because you cannot deny that English is the language of the working force. If you don't have English proficiency now, you will be at a disadvantage in the working force. So that's a very idea of having Bahasa Malaysia as a language of the country. For example, if you look at Japan, the way that they're using Japanese as their language, it is so consistent from the leaders up to their citizen. They made it a culture that is so significant, that is so strong. So I think we need to move towards that.
Yes, and I think that it will only be really efficient in making everyone unite when people in MCA started speaking in Malay during their training. You know, because, or MIC, because it's like you are saying that Bahasa Malaysia is our national language that everybody should speak, but
Empty preaching.
but your meeting were all conducted in still different languages. And that there's a lot of leaders who doesn't speak Bahasa Melayu well. And then why is that you are saying that, from the citizens, we should start from bottom, that, you guys should all talk Bahasa Malaysia, but you are not showing a good role model?
In my opinion, I think our national language to be Bahasa Melayu is good enough, and English being the second language, the way it is, it's good enough, but how it's being put in practice, like Kim Tan and Megat had already mentioned, how it's being put into practice. You don't tell someone to do something and you don't do it yourself. That's just not fair and not right, and it's not going to work in the process. So it's more of a practice in the sense that we need to practice that Malaysianness, that unity, more than just giving blind orders and we just following, because we are not going to follow. That's not going to work. Sorry.
So Aina, maybe you can give your last words on this topic.
I don't feel like language should be the one that we need to consider much. Right?
Yes.
Based on what Megat said just now, Japan, they use Japanese, obviously, and Chinese. In China, they use Chinese. But that is a country where you can see that most people are Japanese and most people are Chinese. So, in defense, our country does not have that. We are not owned by Malays in total. And we are not owned by Chinese in total, or Indian, or other Bumis. In a way, we have different language, and there is this one language that we all know so well, which is Malay, right? So I'm guessing that it shouldn't be a matter of something that we need to consider much about saying that, our national language is this and that and that. Because obviously, it doesn't seem right.
Yes, it's just a political gimmick, I would say. Like they keep on saying, and then some extremists will say that, no, Malaysia Bahasa, not the national language. Like we Chinese will not accept it. This is crazy, and then it will just create more and more racial statement coming out from all those political leaders, which just make things worse.
Language seems to do that. It divides people more than it makes people stand together. So. Other than focusing on language as something national from our country, can we just focus on food instead? Everyone.
Let's just eat. We are getting hungry now.
Same thing. So roti canai, nasi lemak, no problem.
I think
Doesn't
focusing
matter
on
what race you are.
common values, that will be the best. Just my opinion. Because common values are these positive, beautiful things that everyone has in themselves. It's just those things that are potentials to work on. Why not we just work on that? That just leads you to a brighter
We should look at the common things instead of seeing the difference among all of us, like skin colors, like languages, like what.
Start from love. I can love, you can love. Start from there.
LGBT can love.
I think our country is so unique. I think it's true that it's true that Malaysia is truly Asia. It is so unique that it's impossible to settle the problem.
And the people are actually very beautiful. It's just that at times these things get wrong, and everyone's just so frustrated.
Yes, and we should actually celebrate the differences instead of spotting it and talk about it.
That's truly one Malaysia.
not by saying that. We have to know that we are different.
Yeah,
but at the
yeah.
same time, we accept the difference.
Accept the difference, not tolerate as
Yeah,
well.
I think that's the core part of what we learn from today is we are all different and we should be proud that we are different.
Yes.
And we should accept that our friends are different than us.
It would be so boring with the
Yeah.
same people every single day. Okay, it's like a copy of myself.
Yeah. So we are actually the end now. Thank you all our guests today. Thanks to Archana, Megat, Hanis, Noraaina, and Tan Kim for sharing all your views, very interesting views. And thank you for the listeners for listening to us. You are now listening to Durian ASEAN.
Bye.
I'm signing off now. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.